While at the Capitol this week, we talked with State Senator Steve Erdman, one of those leading the effort on property tax relief. Here's our Grow interview. And kind of explain to people what's kind of your thinking on this.
It'll be a reduction of 30% of your property tax, and how it'll work if you have a $1,000 property tax bill. Generally speaking, across the state of Nebraska, about 60% of that goes to the public school. So in that example, out of the $1,000, $600 would go to the public school. Our proposal would give you a 30% or 50% reduction in that, of 30% overall property tax reduction, or in that example, be $300 back.
Do you think that kind of gets at the root of the issue dealing with especially the high property tax people are spending to their local school district?
It does, and what it does, the schools and the cities and all those local units of government will still collect their taxes like they always have. It'll be up to the state to find the money to refund or credit the property tax.
Of course, the governor has been pretty quick to say this is a fantasy. This is going to cost us $1 billion. Your response?
My response is the fantasy is last year's budget. They brought last year's budget out. It was $250 million, in my opinion, too high. Fast forward to this October, and I was pretty close. I was about 23 off. If you're a liberal and you want to continue to grow government like you always have, then you want to find a way to pay for it, and that's the governor's approach. If you're a conservative and you say, I want to make cuts to pay for it, that's the conservative approach, and that's my approach.
If your bill were to go through, what do you think the impact would be on a farmer or rancher out in central and western Nebraska?
Well, those farmers, take for example, if a farmer has a $100 tax bill per acre, 30%, $330 an acre, reduce it down to $70. Agriculture is in a tough way, but not only agriculture is paying too many property taxes, but your house is too high. Your property tax is too high on your house. So not only is it affecting rural Nebraska, it's affecting the urban people as well.
We're bound to hear some other proposals. The governor, I'm sure, will have a proposal as well. What would it take for somebody else's proposal to kind of get on board with one of those other proposals that might come out?
Those proposals get equal to the amount that we're asking for property tax reduction. I'm all ears.
So you're willing to compromise and listen if they're willing to get to that level?
I am. That's the way it works.
If this doesn't get done and the legislature fails to act again, let's talk of this, getting this on the ballot and putting the issue to the voters. Is that still your mindset of that if these 49 people can't do it, is that the way to go?
It most certainly is, and that's the goal.
Corn growers set policy with an eye on coexistence. There are those who grow food-grade corn, while others grow inogen or other biotech crops and organic production as well. Dan Wesley of the Corn Grower says it comes down to being neighborly and seeing what others are planting.
And with the way the winds are in Nebraska, the pollen can travel several miles, and it doesn't take much of a contamination to get rejected. So people who have a lot of money out there in specialty crops, it's kind of like when you're talking about the drift issues with sprays and that, and so definitely have to be conscious of what we're doing out there all the time.
Corn growers met a few weeks ago to set policy. Those on the board say they're here to support all corn growers and try to be conscious of all sides. The nation's largest farm organizations are teaming up, showing we can be farm town strong in the face of the opioid epidemic. The American Farm Bureau Federation, together with National Farmers Union, have launched this new campaign. It follows a survey commissioned by the groups that shows farmers and farm workers have been hit especially hard by this problem. 74% of folks in agriculture say a friend or family member has been affected. Farm Bureau talked to the USDA Assistant to the Secretary for Rural Development.
The impact in rural America has been particularly monumental. The report released last fall confirms 3 in 4 farmers have been directly impacted by the opioid epidemic. This information builds on an October release by the Centers for Disease Control, which said that overdose deaths in rural areas have now exceeded those in urban centers.
Folks say there's a lack of services and negative stigma makes it hard for farmers to talk about it, but they hope to change that. Still to come, NTV now has an eye in the sky. How we plan to use our drone in egg coverage. Weather is up next.